everybody, welcome back to Nasivyanka, the channel where I talk about Bulgarian history, traditions, culture and faith. I realized that I still haven't talked to you about Bulgarian folklore, and I got in touch with one of my Bulgarian folktales. So I leafed through it and it brought in such sweet childhood memories of stories, folktales that my grandparents used to read to me, my mom used to read to me, but also we studied in the school. So I thought about sharing one of them with you. Something about Bulgarian folklore is that it's rich in wisdom, and so it teaches people moral about life and attitude, about good and evil, about humanity and respect. So the one for today is called The Bear and the Bad Word. I did my best to translate in a way that it would make more sense in English, so I'm going to use my cheat sheet, or rather my sketchbook cheat booklet, and I will read it to you the way I thought would sound appropriate in English, because translations from one language to another simply don't sound the same across languages. So yeah, it takes some extra step. And before I delve into this, I should also note that many of the clothing combinations that I have been wearing lately at this channel are not traditional. They look like traditional Bulgarian clothing, some of them are, but the combinations are not. And my main reason for that is simply because I don't have the resources. I live abroad and it's extremely expensive and very difficult in general to make an order, to pay for clothes like that, let alone wait for shipment, for the shipping and so forth. Nonetheless, I have sewn a whole bunch of clothes for myself, and I just started on a project which soon I intend to share with you, because when there is no other situation, you learn from life, from personal experience. And that's another folktale which I will share with you in the future. So that's just to say, don't take it from me that this is what traditional clothing should look like in Bulgaria, although it is similar. I am basically just using some creativity, and I am emphasizing on pretty much what the life of a Bulgarian immigrant would look like if Bulgarians would have stayed abroad. And we do. There are many Bulgarians clearly who have immigrated in the later decades, recent decades, but oftentimes I kind of fantasize if Bulgarians would have, stayed where they had reached in antiquity, what clothes would have looked like. And also, when we lack resources such as finances, physical resources, what can we concoct? We do our best. So this is the story about the bear and the hurtful word. So bad word, loša duma, can also translate as evil word, but also as the hurtful word. And it goes like this. Once upon a time, tiny naughty baby bears lived in the middle of the forest. One day, one of them went out in the open. He climbed up a very tall tree and he got scared. So he didn't dare to come back down. In the meantime, a man went in the woods to chop up some wood for logs. He saw the miserable baby bear and he felt sorry for him. So he climbed up that tree and helped the baby down. He then carried the baby to the cave that was very, very nearby, after which he went about his work. The villager, however, had no idea that while he had been climbing down that tree, the big mama bear saw what he was doing on her way back to her babies. "Friend," she said to him, walking up closer and closer, "you granted me a great good. Let's become friends." The man was naturally afraid, but what else could he do? At last, he overcame his cowardice, and little by little, he started conversation with the bear. So they became friends. Before they parted, they both agreed that each time the man would be in the woods, had come to that place and look for his sister. In this way, they would meet and converse. So the man returned often to that place where he and the bear met and talked from that moment on. Once, as he headed back home, the two of them kissed on the mouth for farewell. "Oh, sister," exclaimed the man, "everything is good and pretty about you, but I find one single flaw in you. You have a very bad breath." The man did not realize how hurtful these words were that slipped out of his lips. The bear felt very, very sad, though she said nothing to him. Instead, all she did was make a request. "Brother, please hit me on the head with this axe as hard as you can. If you don't do it, I am going to eat you." The man was in a shock. He tried all sorts of means to change her mind. At last, he understood that he had no other way out but to really hit her with the axe on the head. So he did it. He inflicted a deep wound on his sister indeed, but upon leaving, he told her that he would look for her again one day. Many, many years later, he saw her some other place. They recognized each other, they greeted each other, they talked a little bit with each other, and then, just as the man headed to leave, the bear told him, "Brother, won't you take a look at me? Tell me, do you see the wound? Years ago, I asked you to hit me on the head with the axe." The man took a look at her. He parted her fur so that he would see the place where he had once caused the impact. The wound had healed. Not a single scar. "Sister," he exclaimed, "if I wouldn't have remembered how I hit you, I wouldn't have known that you were ever wounded. I wouldn't have ever known that you ever had a wound." That was when the bear told him, "You see, brother, the wound has healed completely. I no longer even recall where exactly it was inflicted. However, the word that you spoke to me, that is something I will not forget for as long as I live." I find this story so profound and so touching, more so because that describes human nature. We tend to think that what we see can tell us about the psyche of another person, that what we see on the surface level is sufficient. But the moral of this story tells us otherwise. It actually says that physical wounds can and do heal. However, spiritual wounds, emotional wounds, mental wounds, those hurtful words, they not only stay for a long time, they actually stay for a life. Because anything that comes across our mind, we learn, we hear. It stays in our memory. It never leaves. And this reminds me of a book that we in the mental health field we know, and it's called The Body Keeps the Score. it's a very good explanation of how our bodies remember, even though there may be no physical scar, even though some people may walk out bearing a smile, even though people may look like they're agreeable and calm and placid, we can't judge how wounded they are deep inside of their hearts. We can't even tell what wounds they carry in their memories. But the body remembers in the sort of our nervous system, in the sort of the way in which we store memory. It affects our body. It affects our nervous system. So whether we become more or less impulsive, how we regulate our emotions, that is something the body remembers. And it's a way of a memory that's within. It's internal, so it is invisible to human eyes. So I hope that this brings some inspiration to you all. It is part of my Bulgarian culture, and I am thankful for your time. It's nice to be able to sit at Nasedyanka and share a few good words with people. Thank you so much for your encouragement, as always, for the kind comments. They mean a lot. I really, really appreciate them. It has been very encouraging for me to continue to research and dig for information, and it brings a lot of joy. And my hope and prayer is that this joy can spread back and go back to you all 2-3 times more augmented. So I hope this finds you well, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.